So I really enjoy producing these YouTube videos, and I definitely love seeing the impact that my videos have out there, getting to know you guys, the comments, all that stuff, and watching to see how the video does. And I know one of the biggest things, if you want to grow your channel, everybody's always saying, consistency. You got to stay consistent, upload, the YouTube algorithm, all that stuff. But, one of the hardest things to do is come up with content. I mean, what do you film all the time?
Hey, I know, man. Why don't you talk about like cameras and lenses and stuff like that?
Seriously? Dude, I'm in the middle of a YouTube video here. I mean,
so,
they're right there.
Don't forget to subscribe.
Wow. Jerk.
Alright, so we're going to go ahead and just jump right into this tutorial. I do want to keep this video on the short side for you guys, so we're going to skip the formal introductions. I do just ask, if you are not subscribed, please subscribe with that bell icon. And if at the end of this video you did find it helpful, hit that thumbs up and comment if you have any questions. I'd love to hear from you guys. But let's go ahead and get into it. As you can see here, I've got Final Cut open, but this effect is doable in just about any mainstream editor. So whether you've got Premiere Pro, Resolve, just about anything with a masking effect can achieve this. And so, but I just use Final Cut Pro because that's my editor of choice. And as you can see here, I've got two clips. I've got my first clip with me sitting in a chair at my desk, talking to an imaginary person at the shelf. And that's not something that I do all the time, but I had to do it for this tutorial. And so I've got a second clip here of me at the shelf talking to an imaginary person in the chair, which, believe it or not, is a lot more difficult than what it seems. So we do have two clips here that we're going to be using, and the one thing that I can emphasize, no matter how many clips that you're going to be doing this with, the main thing, and again I highly emphasize this, is that everything must stay exactly the same. So the camera cannot move at all. It is best to put it on a tripod or just something that you know where that camera is not going to move at all. And the lighting has to stay the same. You don't want items to move around within the clips unless there's something that you know is going to be in an okay area to move, where you're going to be able to edit that later. But you want things to stay as stationary as possible, otherwise it's going to create a lot more work. And I know that because in this clip here, it took me quite a bit of takes to get this one as good as it is, which is still not perfect. I know it's hard to believe, but I'm not an Emmy Award winning actor. But I can say it took me quite a few takes on this, and I did take my SSD drive out of my Atomos recorder multiple times to check it in my MacBook and see how it came out. And I guess one of the times when I was putting the SSD drive back in the Atomos, I did move the camera just ever so slightly. And so it is going to create a little bit more work for me. Thankfully though, it's not too bad, so I will be able to show you guys how to correct that if it does happen. But again, I emphasize keep things the same as much as possible. So we're going to take our first clip here, and we're going to drag this down to our timeline, and we're going to just cut off the part here at the beginning where I'm standing up because we don't need that. And as you can see here, I have the waveform down at the bottom where I'm talking, and then as I start to look over at the shelf where I should be talking at the shelf, that's where the waveform goes silent. And so that should help us line up our top clip, which we're going to take our top clip and we're going to drag it down. And as you can see, it does fit there. And at the beginning of this clip, you can see where it kind of came out. I don't know, I guess I was camera shy or something, and then I went back. We want to cut that off because we're not going to be using that. And then we want to go to the end here, and we want to match things up as well. That's where I was shutting the camera down. And so now we've got things lined up. And so now we want to make sure that the timing is a little bit better, and we also want to make sure that we've got everything lined up to where when that camera move happens, you're not going to notice that. And so we want to bring the opacity down on this top clip to where the bottom clip starts to show, and that way we can see both clips and how they are lining up together. And so I play it here a little bit, you can kind of see. All right, I think that might actually be good. Let's give it a try. Okay, so I think actually I turn and look at the camera a little bit too soon right there. And so, yeah. So I need both clips to kind of turn at the same time there. Okay, let's give that a try. I think that's pretty good. That's about where I think it fits well. So, okay, now that we've got that, we're gonna go ahead and fix where we can see that things moved. Obviously, it's like kind of blurry and stuff like that. So we're gonna hit the transform tool here, and we're just gonna take it and slide things over until you start to see everything get sharp and line up. And so we've got that there. And so we're going to take our transform tool off, and now we're going to go into our effects, and we're going to add a draw mask here. So you want to go down to your masks, draw mask. You can always type it in down here at the bottom too if you need that, but we're going to double click, add that there. Now you can see it's telling us to add control points. And so what we want to do is we want to find the spot where I'm leaning the farthest over, and I think that's about right there, where I'm actually like waving to the camera. So now we can go ahead and start to add control points. Now I try to follow lines as much as I can, so that way you don't see where things are happening. But sometimes you do have to kind of go over things like this a little bit, and which will make it a little bit noticeable, but I'll show you how to remedy that as well. And we'll just cut across here. We'll go here because I know I'm going to turn a little bit, so I don't want to cut off my shoulder. Jump down here, and we'll follow the desk here. Follow across this. Now you can notice that the mouse is still a little bit off, and that's because I think I did move the mouse in between takes, and so I didn't put it back in the same position. But that's okay, because we're going to cut all of that off anyways and just leave it on the clip below, and so you're not even going to notice. And we can just go down there, and we need to connect everything. Alright, so now you can see that the opacity change went away on our underlying clip, and that's because with the mask we basically just cut all this other side of this top clip off. And so now we can take our mask off, and we can kind of change things there, and you can see things do shift a little bit. That shelf moves a little bit, and then you can see the line there of where things come over, but that's okay. We're gonna make that work. Actually need to adjust that there. And so what we're gonna do is, in order to make that where it's not such a noticeable transition, because when it happens you can definitely see the change there. You see that would be totally noticeable by people. So we're going to select our top clip, go into transitions, and then we're going to go to dissolves and cross dissolve, and we're just going to double click on it, and now you can see it added it to the beginning and to the end. And so if we play that clip, you can see now that transition happens slow enough to where it's not so noticeable. And so most people are going to be focused on me talking anyways, and they're not going to even look in this area until I start walking in. And so it's completely taken away and or completely faded out, and so you're not going to really notice that. And we do still have that little bit of line and stuff to work with. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our mask and we're going to increase the feather a bit. You can see it starts to bring in some of the shadows here from my arm, and it starts to feather this out, and then we're going to kind of lower that fall off a little bit there. And so now you can see it's not so noticeable at all. You don't really see all of that. And so that's pretty much it. Now what I did was I just added my little bumper video here to the end of the clip. And that's pretty much it. Pretty simple tutorial. So it's not that difficult, but I know it's difficult if you don't know how to do it and you've never done it before. So I did want to show you guys a simple tutorial, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, if you did find it helpful, hit that thumbs up, subscribe if you're not, and I will see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.
Come on, man. I said I was sorry.